that you can.
Okay, good morning. My name is Siudy Torres. I am a biology major. My mentor is Ivan Aguila, and I'm presenting my presentation's called El Sueño Chicano. So what does it mean to be a Chicano or Chicana? When we first think of Chicanos, we all might have a different perspective of what it means to be a Chicano. Here are some pictures of what comes to mind for me when I think of Chicanos. But in order for us to truly dive into the Chicano dream, we have to first define what does it mean to be a Chicano or Chicana. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, Chicanos means to be from Mexican descent but born here in the US. Chicano was a term that was brought up to bring an identity for these kids who didn't know what to consider themselves as. Are they Latinos or Americans? They're a mix of two different cultures. You would think, wow, coming from two different cultures, I can only imagine how cool it might be. It actually wasn't easy for them. Chicanos faced many obstacles within the decades, many that they're still facing today. Growing up in the early 2000s, I had two great examples of Chicanos that were my uncles. Seeing them grow up, I saw what it meant to be a Chicano at the time. It felt only natural that I call myself Chicana as well. As I was getting older, I was noticing lots of perspectives I had were very different compared to them. It was simple things at first, like how we dressed, to what we believed meant to be a Chicano. It wasn't until I took an intro to Chicano studies class that I truly saw the differences. My professor, Professor Peña, showed us different culture constructs of Chicano culture throughout different time periods. For sure, one thing he wanted us to see was the differences in how the Chicano community evolved. That really sparked the light bulb in me, because I wanted to really know how social contracts can play a role within the community, specifically the Chicanos. There are many forms of different social contracts, but the two ones I'm going to be focused on are film and music. You will be surprised about the amount of Chicano films and music that is out there in this world. For example, some well-known movies like Zoot Suit and Stand and Deliver, which many probably have saw but had no idea these were actually Chicano films. That were based on real life events that some Chicanos went through, or music like Little Rob or Chicano Batman that talk about the discrimination and obstacles that Chicanos have faced in a daily basis. When we listen and watch social contracts for pure entertainment, we may watch a film because we love the actors or the drama in it. We might listen to a song because we love the artist who wrote it, or simply because we thought the song has such a catchy beat to it. But if we actually were to look more closely into each of these social contracts, you would be amazed of how much we can actually learn from the Chicano community. But not just learn, but see how they have evolved within generations. And then within these musics and films I researched, I was able to see three different common themes between all of them: solidarity, intersectionality, and then the fight for equality. Solidarity is known as the unity of people coming together to bring forth a common interest they have. In the case of the Chicanos, their common interest was always protecting their rights and fighting the injustices. In turn, this has brought them closer together as a community. An example we have is a Chicano artist known as Kid Frost, who wrote a song called La Raza that talked about some of the Chicano hardships in life. He sings out, "Some of you don't know what's happening. ¿Qué pasó? It's not for you anyways, because this is for la raza." Listening to it felt like such a national anthem for us Chicanos, because it felt like someone finally spoke out about the hardships that many of us face. But by him saying this is for la raza, showed us the emphasis he had towards the Chicano community, that as a whole, we are all suffering together. We can also see this in the movie Zoot Suit. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about the Sleepy Lagoon trial, where a group of innocent Chicanos were charged with murder. During one of the scenes, the main character, Henry, was telling his friends how he was going to turn himself in order to save the rest of them. Instead of his friends taking his deal, his friends stood by his side to the very end. Or in the movie Stand and Deliver, where it's about a high school teacher taking a math class with the class of Chicanos who was doing really bad at school. And if we actually looked at the National Center of Education statistics at the time, in the 2000s, Chicanos had a 27.8% dropout rate, which of course that statistic plays such a role in how the school system saw them. because if we were able to see through the movie Stand and Deliver, how they said that they were not going to go past high school or not go even far in life. But this teacher proved them otherwise, showed them that they were more than just what the school system said, and that they were more than just the statistics. And at the end, we can see the whole class got a 3 and above on their AP Calc test. We are seeing through music and film how solidarity is being portrayed to the Chicanos, that they have to stand with one another to be able to fight these injustices they are facing. Not only has it been a reminder to the Chicanos, but also a wake-up call to us as the audience as well, and how no one gets left behind, and we all always have to stick together. Chicanos also faced another main obstacle within the justice systems. We don't always get to see the discriminations get put on the news, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen on a day-to-day basis. According to the Department of Justice in 2019, Latinos had a 19.1% crime rate, which of course are more risk cases that we might hear on the news or even through gossip in the street. A band known as Chicano Bandman does a great job in showing a case that might not be put on the news, but it has happened to many. In their song Kala Hura, which also means the police in English, it talks about a friend who got shot up in the corner of the street. In the chorus, they mention how they didn't understand why the people who were supposed to protect us were the ones that were harming us, which they were hinting at the police, being the ones who killed their innocent friend at the corner of the street. Or in the song, known by Little Rob, it's called Just One of Those Days, where he describes the perfect life that Chicanos were having, that they're able to hang out in the park with La Juras, also known as police, would drive by, but they wouldn't cause a scene, instead of just wave at them, smile, and laugh. Even when he sings out, no one is crying because no one is dying, it just shows the impact they had with the police and the justice and the discrimination they faced. Even in the movie Due to film, of the 4 innocent Chicanos that were being charged with murder, just because they were there in the wrong place in the wrong time, just shows the obstacles they've been facing. Throughout these examples, we can see one thing in common, and that is the discrimination they face with the justice system, to the point where they felt like they can't even walk to the corner of their own street without the fear of them getting hurt. We can see this idea of intersectionality by all the obstacles they have faced that has made them the community they are today. It has brought them together like a family, but not the idea we think of a family like blood related, but this idea of family that we stick together through thick and thin. The Chicano community has gone and still faces many challenges still to this day, but they have stayed loyal in who they are and what they stand for, and that's something that no one can change. Doing this project has been such an eye-opening experience, because what I thought I knew about Chicanos doesn't compare to the amount of things I learned from this project. We might have all been going through some battles for generations, but one day we'll be able to have the life that Little Rob described to us in one of his most known songs, Just One of Those Days. There is nothing more thrilling than knowing I'm part of this community. I'm glad that I get to play my role in the Chicano community. It might be a small role in teaching people about some of the ways the Chicano community is being portrayed through social constructs, but it's one step closer to reaching our goal. I hope that I'm making a difference, that I make my fellow Chicanos proud. I'm proud to be a Chicana. I'm proud to call them my family, and I'm proud that I get to teach people a little bit about the Chicano community. And then to my Chicano community, this one's for you. And then I would like, of course, to thank my mentor, Professor Ivan Arguilet, for always being there for me and supporting me through this whole process, to my friends and family for being my biggest support, and finally, thanks to my friend Slick for being the greatest example of what it means to be a Chicano. Thank you, and that concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?